Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Crafty Meraki. This is the Jingle Jewels Stamps and Dies, Evergreen Elegance Stamps and Dies, and the Gilded Holiday Greetings. So I pilled out this one as well. This is a slimline. I thought I was going to do a different background. It ended up not working out, but it's still a super cute little die. So basically what we're going to talk about in here, I am only making one card in this video, which is why it's a little shorter than most of my videos. But we're going to be talking a lot about mass producing. So the design that I created for this card would be one that would be super easy to mass produce, but that wouldn't have been the case, say like 10 years ago. Right now, there is, and Crafty Meraki's most recent Stamps and Dies are this way, there is kind of a push towards making it easier to mass produce, because some people are very much quantity people. Like if you're a person who makes your own Christmas cards, these products are going to be great for you. You can stamp all of your images at one time. They're all on one block. And then the die is the same, where you can die cut all of them out at one time, which is a massive time saver. It's just a huge, huge time saver. I like all of my Christmas cards to be different. That is why I'm just making one today, but I did want to just show you how easy it is to do these. For the greenery, I did use quite a bit of the greenery on my card, so I did end up stamping 2 of these, but you could keep the same layout that you see for this card and just exchange any one of those ornaments. I chose the round one with the bow because that's the one that I was drawn to first, but you could use any of them, just do the same layout with the greenery and then put the ornaments in. But I think that this kind of trend is super interesting. If you are not a colorist, like you're like, oh, Kelly, I love your card, but I don't want to color all that. They also have, and they have these for quite a few sets, Crafty Meraki does. It's called EAP, which is a pad of the images that are pre-colored. What does it stand for? Hold on, let me think of it. EAP. What? Come with it, Kelly. Why can't I think of what it's called? Maybe it'll come back to me. But anyway, it's pre-colored images and it's colored by wonderful, talented colorists that are in the industry, and then you can just cut those out. If you're a person who maybe would want to make card kits for your like loved ones that you guys maybe like to hang out and put together kits, this is another way that you could you could do this and save yourself quite a bit of time between stamping and die cutting and all of those things. And I just think that that's super interesting because, like I said, we have so many things now, like that just as the industry has progressed, that we did not have before. And I think that that's super cool because everybody has different needs. So I am a colorist. And like I said, I like having my individual Christmas cards. I like having them, different. So that way when I'm giving gifts at Christmas, like to say my family, my brother-in-laws aren't opening up the same card or my sisters aren't opening up the same card as each other. So I like to kind of customize mine a little bit. But I also don't mail them out. Like I only hand deliver mine. So neither way is wrong or bad. That's just why I do mine the way that I do them. But anywho, let's talk about the coloring. So I wanted to do a white ornament. So I just added a little bit of shading with the grays for the bow that has this cute little stripe across the top of the bow. And I wanted to mimic that in the tails. So that's why you saw me doing that, just a little bit of gray there. I originally thought I was going to do my background navy, and I ended up switching it up to teal, but don't fret, you don't have to start over. We'll be able to fix that when the time comes. So I did color them, the little sparkles with a navy blue, and now I'm going to do my bow red. So for the bow, I'm just going to avoid those little white lines that I drew in. I could have gone in with a fine liner and outlined those lines to make them exactly like the top ones, but I really didn't think that it was necessary. I'm adding shading coming out from the bow because where it's all like tied over itself, there'll definitely be shadows. And then just a little bit of, just like a little line of darker color kind of outside on the edges. And that having those dark colors opposite of each other is going to give the center a really round appearance. And I want my bows to look super full. And that is why I want to have that lighter area there, to have my highlight be on the rounded part of the bow. I wasn't too worried about the tails. I just filled that in with my mid-tone. So my lightest color will really only be used for my highlights on the top part of the bow. That's really the only place you're going to really be able to see it. So then once this is done and colored, I'm going to move on to the greenery. I did the berries as well. So in this, if you wanted to mimic this or case this card in particular, just please know that I did stamp a couple of extra berries because I wanted the little pops of reds. But you could also mimic that with some jewels instead of having to, stamp extra berries. You wouldn't necessarily have to do that, but I'm only making one card, so it didn't bother me to stamp my extra berries. For the greenery, lots of really good stuff in here that you can use for multiple different things, which is why I had no issue stamping and coloring out 2 of them, because even though I knew I wasn't going to use all of it on my one card, I will just tuck this into the envelope in which I keep my, what is this? Elegance? Evergreen Elegance? Anybody? I just said it at the beginning. It's going to be linked below, like all my stuff is. But that way I can just tuck them into that little clear envelope that I keep my stamps and dies in. And then the next time I pull this set out, they'll be in there. Or if I'm, trying to make a quick card on the fly, I can't be the only person that happens to, that all of a sudden something comes up and you didn't realize that you hadn't made a card. I have a funny story about that, actually. So last weekend was my daughter's birthday. She turned 2. And we ended up having to push her party back one day. So it should have been on Saturday, but it was actually on Sunday. And on Saturday, my husband looked at me and was like, "Hey, did you make Jelly Bean's card?" No, I did not. So I spent part of my day making sure to knock out her second birthday card because I hadn't made it. Speaking of that birthday card is a little bit different for me because I always make my kids cards to go with the theme of their party, and her theme was the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I did not use any. I did do a Mickey themed card, but I did not use any specialty products. If that's something that you guys are interested in seeing, let me know, because I did record it. I just didn't know whether or not I would use it, but I always feel like, hey, in case it comes out super cute, it's better to record it and have it be something that you don't need than not record it and have it be something that you really wish you would have recorded. So let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, like kind of how to get that look without any, licensed products or having to download any images or anything like that. And I think anybody would be able to look at that card and know that it was Mickey Mouse themed. So anyway, back to the coloring. I did basically all of the greenery the same way. I just chose different greens. I added a darker line down the center, more shading toward the base of the leaf, and then lighter ends. So I did a yellow green, I did a blue green, and then I did more of like a true green because I wasn't really sure which ones I was going to be using. And I'm not going to show you the coloring of all of them because everything is the same. I did show you one of each color combination and one of each style of greenery. And then we're just going to move on to the next phase of the card. I'm a little bit living on borrowed time today because it's nap time. And my husband is outside doing the leaves. It's just that time of year because you got to get them done before the snow comes, even though it's already snowed once here because Ohio. But anyway, so I'm like, I have to do this voiceover to get it done. And am I running the risk that the whole time you're going to hear his leaf blower in the background? Yes, I am. Is there anything I can do about it? No. Am I a professional? Meh. Maybe. I mean, I do this for a living, but are my videos perfect? No, they are not. So here is where I'm going to go in. I just picked a blue-green. This is when I've decided I'm going to switch my background from a navy to a teal. And I went in with a BG09 to just kind of go over the sparkles. And this is just going to glaze it to make it more of a teal. It is going to be a little bit darker than those colors are normally. I blended that out with a BG45, but it will make it more on tone for this. So as I said earlier, with these types of products where it's super easy to stamp and die cut everything all at once, everything is, like you can see here, all of the ornaments, it would have cut them all out. So, oh good. So now we have the leaf blower going in the background. Let's add some barking dogs while my child's napping, because that's not just absolutely rolling the dice with getting this done. Anyway, I digress. So I just trimmed off, just so I wouldn't have a bunch of excess, like cutting through that cardstock. I just trimmed off what I needed. For this one, I'll be using the entire thing. And I just line that up. It will cut them all out at once. It's really fantastic. And then you saw for the sentiment, I originally heat embossed it on teal, but I didn't actually love that. So we're going to come back around to doing it on black. So I've laid everything out, and I realized that I don't like the way the sentiments are looking on there. That's really no big deal. As long as nothing's glued down, you can play with it as much as you need to. So I kind of just smushed everything over to one side and was like, okay, now let me put my ornament on there. It was not a balanced design. I didn't love it. So then instead of going from left to right, I decided I was going to go from right to left. And this was much better. Here's why. It's such a silly little thing. But we read left to right. So for the sentiment, in order for it to make sense, it needs to go left to right. And so that is why the arrangement going right to left worked much better. Like when you were looking at it, you know, that you have the bottom left corner up to the top right, because then when you're reading the sentiment, which will then be in the top left and the bottom right, you know, to offset, it will make much more sense when you're reading it. So I'm stamping this in white pigment ink. And then again, I just chose a smaller piece of paper so I wasn't stamping out all those sentiments that I personally would not be using for all of my cards. This one absolutely will get used. It will just be one of many that gets handed out to my friends and family. So then white detail embossing powder, I'm going to heat set that until it is nice and solid. And then I will cut it out with its coordinating die as well. These are really great. They have a bunch of these. I'm a huge fan of these for sentiments, because you could stamp this, you know, on a half a sheet of cardstock. Just stamp the whole thing down, heat emboss them all, die cut them out, and then you just have endless sentiments to choose from when you're putting your cards together. And so for me, I would probably use them the most for sentiments. I trimmed down this little piece of teal. What is this? I think it's Hero Arts. It could be Gina K. I'll double check, but I'll link it below. But it's just a pretty dark teal. And then I'm going to kind of get my little arrangement going here. I know for balance that I want them to mirror each other. So once I get the bulk majority of one down, I'm going to go ahead and glue that. And then I will flip the card around and I will glue its sister version. They don't have to be exact, but it does create a nicer look and a more pleasing balance if they do mirror each other. It's just a really, really easy way to get good balance. So here I am just going in. This is my precision glue press, and I'm going to make sure that one is glued to the other completely. I glue them to each other a little bit long enough for me to be able to pick them up, but in order for it to be really secure, you do have to go back in and, you know, glue one leaf to the other. And then I will put that in the corner, and then I will flip it around and do the other side. So anyway, like I said, living on borrowed time because it's nap time. And my husband is busy, you know, trying to do the last of the lawn work since we're, you know, almost mid-November. Can you even believe how fast this is happening? I just feel like the year is going by so quickly. We're covering so many topics today. It's like a catch-all. speaking of switching topics, let's do it one more time, shall we? I recently, I've talked to you guys about that I was having my website redone. It's actually done. And it was a very long process, but I'm so glad that it is done and it is complete. So I have started blogging again. I'm not going to lie, I didn't miss it, but it is nice, I think, for you guys, and for me as well, to kind of have a landing page for all of the extra information. You know, YouTube only lets you put so many characters in the description. So if you want to include any other information, you're really limited on YouTube. And so even though I know almost nobody is going to actually read the blog posts, it is helpful to have a landing page for all of that information as well as the video. So at the end of the videos where you would normally see the videos linked, those will still be there, but then there will also, for most things, I'm not going to say all, because again, we go back to, I'm not a perfect, not a perfect professional. But you will see a link at the end to not only subscribe if you are not subscribed, but you will also see a link that says learn more, and that link will take you over to the blog. On the blog, I also have a link for my alcohol marker recommendations. I have a link for my illustrations. Somebody had recently asked me if I had all of the illustrations I've produced in one place. I didn't. I thought it was a great idea, so I added that page to the new website as well, and that will constantly be updated with any of my illustrations that are produced by stamp companies. And then on here, somebody asked me, was it Teresa? I think it was Teresa. Maybe it was Barb. But they had asked me if I could do a playlist that was showing all of the videos that I've done with my sets. And I will do that as well. Actually, I'm probably going to do that after I finish this voiceover. So it could be done. But just be on the lookout for that, because I do think that that would be really helpful for those of you who have purchased those sets, to just be able to kind of go to one playlist and see, you know, all of the inspiration for those particular sets. Is that it? I think that is it. As far as like housekeeping things, I do hope you'll head over to the blog and just kind of, you know, check out the new website. There's lots of things on there to look at and check out. So yeah. So now that we have the sentiments on, everything is adhered down. Normally I color in my white outline, and that's like kind of my go-to. But because this one had a white ornament and a white border, you know, for this white card base, I actually didn't mind the white outline. If you do, you absolutely could color it in, but I really didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of pretty, so I just left it. For the gems, Crafty Meraki has great gems. I really like them. I was deciding in between the Meraki Sparkle Iris and... what is the other one? The one I ended up using. I think it's like a rainbow one. Both of those are really great. They're great neutrals, and I use them pretty often. I added some glitter with my Zig Wink of Stella to the berries and things like that. And now I'm going to go in with a white gel pen and add in just a couple of highlights on the berries, on the bows. I also went in and kind of outlined the sparkles on the ornaments to help them stand out a bit. And then, of course, because like I said, this is not what you could pick one or maybe two of these that you want, or maybe you could do all three if you were mass producing. But I can go in and do all of these things because this is the only one I'm making, so it doesn't matter to me to take the time. The last thing I'm going to do is add even more glitters to the sparkles on the ornament, and I'm using Stardust stickles to go ahead and knock those out. It'll just make it really nice and glittery, and I think it's super pretty. So I hope that you'll look into these products if you are looking to mass produce some items, or if you just love them like you saw me do here. You can use them for just one-time cards. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.